Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Disney firing hundreds of Pixar staff, losing animation awards, and their stock is still down by billions. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from TechCrunch, as Disney pushes towards streaming profitability, Pixar to undergo massive layoffs in 2024. This is as much as 300 employees that they claim they hired because of expanding to produce more shows and films for Disney+, but I'm very skeptical about that. The numbers just don't add up. From Cartoon Brew, Disney fails to score any awards feature nomination for the first time ever. Netflix has the most nominated film and series. From The Economist, Marvel seems to be losing its powers. The world's mightiest movie franchise looks increasingly fragile. The Economist is not even a media type of publication. They're more of a general publication. For them to notice, it means things are bad. Disney investors are not happy with Disney. Nelson Peltz is trying to get onto the board of directors so he can essentially take over control of Disney. He claims, and he's right, Disney is down $70 billion in value since he first tried to take over the company about a year ago. Bob Iger is desperate to control Disney, and he signed up this other investor called Value Act, who they're actually paying a fee to. The investor bought Disney stock, and Disney signed a deal to pay these guys a consulting fee so they would have support for whatever Bob Iger and the existing board of directors want to do. They're getting paid off. From Axios, Value Act's two-leg Disney thesis seeks running room. By running room, they mean they want to help Disney buy time so that Bob Iger can get away with doing whatever he wants to do without accountability to any of the investors that are not happy with the destruction in the value of Disney stock and, of course, their brands. From TechCrunch, Disney-owned animation studio Pixar is poised to undergo layoffs this year. TechCrunch has learned and the company confirmed. And while sources at the company said the layoffs would be significant and as high as 20%, or reductions that would see Pixar's team of 1,300 drop to less than 1,000 over the coming months, Pixar said those numbers are too high. Rather, the studio said the number of impacted employees is still being determined due to factors like production schedules and staffing for future greenlit films. That part is logical. It's understandable they're not sure how much staff they want if they haven't decided what they're going to be producing yet in 2024. At the same time, it is actually 2024 literally like right now, and as a serious business and a professional studio, they should have 12 months worth of production already planned out. They should be looking at 2026 right now. It tells you things are very much up in the air if they don't know what they're even doing this year. The studio stressed the layoffs are not imminent, but will take place later this year as Pixar focuses on making less content. So instead of Pixar focusing on making better TV shows and films, they're going to focus on making less content. This media outlet, TechCrunch, is trying to put the most positive spin they can on this, but this really is a massively negative story for Disney and for Pixar. It sounds like they're in complete chaos. They don't know what they're doing, and they're considering absolutely drastic measures to try to fix things, which ultimately, by the way, will not work. According to insiders, the Pixar layoffs include headcount that was hired for Disney+, and these were hires Disney pushed on Pixar to produce for its streaming division, which hasn't yet turned a profit. Pixar was dumping all of its content on its streaming division for the last few years. These are severe legacy cuts, and sure, some extra new people as well, but you will see the names will come out. These won't all be people who were just hired within the last year or two. That is not true. In the fourth quarter, Disney Plus added 7 million new subscribers, bringing its total to 150.2 million, including Hotstar, which is their India operation, beating analyst expectations of 148.15 million subscribers. And Disney Plus's ad-supported customers also grew by 2 million to reach 5.2 million, as more than 50% of new customers chose an ad-supported product. The ad-supported version of Disney Plus, by the way, has been reported to be a big success, increasing their overall average revenue per user to be much more than just their straight subscription rate with no ads. So that's actually a success for Disney. I'm even-handed. I try to tell it like it is. A Disney subsidiary, Pixar is best known for films like Finding Nemo, Monsters, Inc., WALL-E, the Toy Story franchise, and others. It's now the latest to be impacted by Disney's cost-cutting measures, which the company said during its fourth quarter earnings would increase by an additional $2 billion to reach a target of $7.5 billion, following a decrease in ad revenue from ABC and other TV stations and continued losses within the Disney Plus streaming division. The cutbacks have a lot to do with Disney saying, okay, we're going to produce less content for the streaming service because we don't need this content for the streaming service to keep the subscribers. It's not like people were all that interested in the new woke content they were making in the first place. Disney said it expects to at least break even on its streaming service by the end of 2024 as a result of the restructuring of the company that enabled tremendous efficiencies, according to CEO Bob Iger, as he told this to investors during the last earnings call. In addition, it has been cutting down on its streaming losses. Disney has been able to cut back on their streaming losses. Their streaming losses have been absolutely massive. They've lost well more than $11 billion trying to build the Disney Plus streaming service. It makes you wonder, why didn't they just write a check for $11 billion or $15 billion or whatever for Hulu in the first place and then just build out Hulu? At least they wouldn't have lost all that money. They didn't think of that at the time. Pixar's Elemental was cited as one of the popular titles to hit the streaming platform in the quarter alongside other Disney and Marvel releases like The Little Mermaid and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Elemental had grossed $500 million worldwide, according to Disney, and was the most viewed film on Disney Plus in the quarter, but was initially considered a box office bomb and one of the worst debuts in Pixar's 28-year history. Their movie Elemental just shows you how badly Disney has damaged its brand in the United States. Internationally, it basically did okay. Domestically, in the US, it did not do okay. It was very poorly received because when people see the Disney brand now, normal adults and children go the other direction. Families don't trust Disney with their children anymore. That's a very serious problem when you're supposed to be producing family-oriented entertainment. Pixar's Onward, released in March 2020, had run into issues due to the start of the COVID pandemic, but Soul, Luca, and Turning Red were released directly to Disney+. Disney had more or less trained audiences to expect big, hot Pixar content at home, explained Brandon Katz, an entertainment industry strategist at Parrot Analytics. Retraining the audience to re-embrace the theatrical experience and prioritize that takes time. In the meantime, of course, competitor Universal beat them in animation again. I mean, they do this like year over year and did very well in animation. And even though Disney controls their own studio, the Pixar studio, Fox's studio, Marvel's studio, and more content, Universal still grossed more money than Disney did with its studio in the year 2023. Incredible that Disney has fallen so far. Brendan Katz also noted that Pixar had to contend with other changes in audience behavior and preferences beyond the shift to streaming. For example, audiences in the 2010s preferred pre-established intellectual property, which required less marketing and less buy-in from consumers. Now audiences are facing sequel and franchise fatigue. Quote, that pendulum swing has been hard for all studios, Pixar included, to keep up with, Katz added. If you look at their box office history, 2017's Coco was their last megabucks box office original, meaning surpassing $500 million plus worldwide. Coco was actually an excellent and extremely touching movie, and it was beautifully animated. It was also extremely authentic, and though they didn't do it originally, Pixar ultimately reached out to Mexican cultural experts and really made it authentic as well. That's the right way to do authentic content and to have themes and touching moments that go beyond people's race or gender. This year, the animation studio is set to release an Inside Out sequel, and in 2025, Elio, a new film about a boy who goes on an intergalactic adventure. That's also an autistic boy. I don't know what this story is going to be, but they're going to have problems if these characters aren't relatable and they're just so overly focused on representation. This pace could help to keep Pixar's budget in line, which tends to hover around $200 million per film, plus around $100 million for marketing per film. Other animation houses have similar budgets, like the $75 to $100 million at Illumination and $70 to $145 million at DreamWorks. Quote, every single film, when they're at $200 million plus, is going to require significant box office returns to break even and turn a profit. Earlier in 2023, Pixar laid off 75 positions, including 2 executives behind Lightyear, Reuters reported, including longtime animators Angus MacLean and Galen Sussman, who had been with Pixar since the original Toy Story. Those cuts were part of Iger's plan to reduce the headcount by 7,000 jobs and $5.5 billion in costs, according to their report. But as you see, these are not just people they hired to expand for Disney+. That's hype. That's a smokescreen. Pixar is in serious trouble because they produce things that don't make money that people don't love. That's Disney's problem. If Disney is going to continue to produce schlock animated movies like Wish and schlock animated movies at Pixar, and of course, all the schlocky content that really very few people care about from Marvel, they may as well do it in one large consolidated studio. That's going to happen in a year or two if they don't start making special content that people really love. Same thing with Lucasfilm. Why do you need all these extra separate studios if you're going to produce mediocre junk that's all woke that really nobody loves or cares about? You really don't. And eventually Disney will catch on to that. Quote, turning streaming into a profitable growth business was a top opportunity Iger cited for 2024, he told investors in the fourth quarter. Also this year, Disney Plus will gain Hulu content in the US in another bid to boost its streaming business, mirroring other consolidation among its peers, including the Warner Bros. Discovery merger and a rumored Paramount merger. Disney executives at the Consumer Electronics Show this week in Las Vegas have been showcasing Disney's ad technology that works across its linear and streaming platforms following 2023's launch of ad-supported streaming on Disney+. I have heard good things about their advertising technology. Disney is very focused on incorporating ads into its streaming services. That's a good thing for them to do to get that solved to generate money. Disney's animated projects across all of its studios have been so lackluster, so boring, they're losing the opportunity to get any awards for them. From Cartoon Brew, Disney fails to score any award feature nomination for the first time ever. Netflix has most nominated film and TV series. Nominations for the 51st ASIFA Hollywood Annie Awards were unveiled today, honoring the best in animation and visual effects from the past year. For the first time since the feature award was launched in 1992, Disney was shut out of the main feature category as neither Wish nor Elemental were included. The fact that Wish wasn't nominated for the main feature prize is understandable considering the film's poor critical reception, but it is quite remarkable that it was also overlooked in all of the individual craft categories as well. Quote, the artists of Walt Disney Animation are being honored with the Annie's Special Achievement Award this year, recognizing unique and outstanding achievement not recognized within the existing award category structure. Perhaps that was done as a small consolation for Wish and Once Upon a Studio earning 0 nominations from any category between them. In the past, Disney has withdrawn its films from Annie Awards consideration, but when it had done that, their policy was still to consider the work during its nomination process. As far as we know, there's no indication at the moment that Walt Disney Animation Studios withdrew its films from the Annies, and Disney Pixar's Elemental received nominations in several categories outside of the main feature award. Another interesting trend sees former Pixar artists earning nominations for independently distributed productions, including the Inventor-director Jim Capobianco, Gee Happy director Sanjay Patel, and War Is Over director Dave Mullins. So for people who were no longer with Disney or Pixar, they got noticed. The people that were with Pixar and Disney didn't get noticed because the work wasn't up to standard. Here's what is getting nominated. The most nominated feature from this year's selection was Netflix's Nimona, which scored 9 nominations, including Best Feature. Suzume, The Boy and the Heron, and Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse each got 7 nominations. Elemental and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem had 6 nominations apiece. And Robot Dreams was the most nominated film not from the US or Japan with 5 nominations. It's understandable Disney would be laying off staff because they are going to be producing less content. It's also understandable they would want to try to play down the layoffs to say, hey, look, we're cutting back on our Disney Plus content. You know we were producing extra content. We've already said that we don't want to overproduce content. We want to keep the quality high, so we're going to be cutting back. The answer is it was a total disaster. People didn't like the shows. They didn't like the movies. They're not getting animation awards. They're not even getting nominations for animation awards. And their stock is down by $70 billion. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.